Joiner.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Welcome to our webinar, Connect Your Shopify Store with Business Central. Joining me today is Kevin, one of our Business Central consultant, who works closely with our customers on e-commerce and ERP integration. And for those who don't know me, I'm Mitesh. I help our customers to choose the right Microsoft ERP tools and integrations. This will be a 45-minute session where we will talk about problems and the solution and how this connector works in real life. And for those who are not able to join or probably not able to stay here for the full session, no worries. We will be sharing the recording afterwards. And all right, let's get jump in and get started. So today's webinar we will cover about us and why you should choose Shopify connector to connect your Business Central, and there will be a solution overview, and we will also have a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation, and we will also do our best to answer as many as we can. And a little bit about us. Navision Tech is a team of Business Central consultant and IT experts and software engineers. We focus only on Microsoft Dynamics platform, especially in Business Central and Microsoft Power Platform. And as a team, we bring over 20 years of experience working with finance, operations, and the IT teams. So we don't just implement software, we understand business process and help our customers to use Business Central in a smarter way. And at the end of the day, our goal is simple, like reduce manual work, improve efficiency, and support long-term growth for the customers. And that's who we are and how we help our customers succeed. And why connect e-commerce store with an ERP? So now let's take a step back and talk about the real issues. So when your ERP, I mean, like when e-commerce store is not connected to the ERP, so they both are a different software and they work separately. So the e-commerce store is more focused on selling, and while the ERP is more focused on running a business, but they don't share the data automatically. So what really happens then? An order comes in online, but the order doesn't see right away. So someone has to re-enter the order and inventory gets updated later. And sometimes it's already too late. So this is where a small problem turn into, like, the daily fires. So wrong stock shows online, order gets delayed in the warehouse, and the finance see different numbers than the sales. And the operation teams feels like it the and the operation teams feels it, and the finance teams also feels that, and the customer feels it the most. And this is not a problem of this is not a people problem, this is an e-commerce problem. and this is a system gap between e-commerce and the ERP. So how do we solve this problem? So the solution is here, like when your e-commerce and ERP are connected, the gap disappeared, order flows automatically, inventory stays accurate, and finance sees one set of numbers. That's how you move faster and reduce error and keep your customers happy. And like and the good news is, like, if you are already using a Business Central, this connection already exists, and Microsoft provides a built-in Shopify connector with your Business Central subscription, so you don't have to buy a third-party tool just to get started. And the connector comes with like at no additional cost, and it covers the core integration needs, and it also handles the basic, like sales order, customers, products, inventory, and it also works like bi-directional. And for many businesses, that's more than enough. And like if you need something like more advanced scenario, so you can always extend it, and you can always enhance. So that's what the by default the Shopify connector provides. And enough about, like, the technical part, and let me give it to Kevin so he can show us, like, how this connector work with Business Central, and when it is the right fit to use this connector. Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Mitesh. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we go over the Shopify connector here for Base BC. Let me share my screen. Mitesh, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. So today we're going to talk about the free business connector for Shopify from Microsoft. You can find this in App Source. If you search Shopify, you'll see there's a whole bunch of connectors out there, and you can find the free one from Microsoft right here. We already have it installed in our environment. You can see there's several other options out there from other vendors, but this is the free version that is recommended. You can download it. There's no trial. You just download it, install it. It's ready to go. There's no setups to be done. It's pretty seamless. Takes a couple minutes from the app source, and you're up and ready to go. To set up your connector, I would recommend using a profile or adding in the field to get to your Shopify stores, but you're just going to go to Shopify and Shopify shops, and you're going to create a shop. So I've already created our shop here, but I'll show you the steps to do that. It's pretty simple. You just click new, you type in the code you want to call your shop. You can have I can say this, and if I have a URL for my Shopify store, which is just literally the URL right here, I can paste it in there. So I have more than one store. So if I were to go to this store, I can copy my URL, come back, put it in, click enable. It'll pop up. I'll update my option, and I'm connected. That quick, that fast, it connects to a Shopify site. And now this is up, it's connected, it's ready to go. I can turn it off at a moment's notice if I don't want it to be connected anymore. And now it's no longer connected to that site. Nothing's communicating. It's not enabled to go back and forth. So that's the basic steps for your initial setup of connecting it. For then you have this is where we get into, I guess, the details of how your system communicates back and forth with your Shopify store. So I have our Shopify store open here where I can come in, I can see my orders. I can, oh, hold on. Let me go back to my demo store. I can see orders, products, customers, everything that you see on the Shopify side. And then I want to determine how Business Central and Shopify communicate to each other. So here, start with items, right? Is I have a couple options from to Shopify or from Shopify. I'm going to use BC as the master record for my data. So it's going to push all the information to Shopify. So I don't want like an unknown item. I don't want that to create. I don't have that Shopify can update my items. I have that BC can update Shopify products, meaning it can push data to it. I'm not syncing any images. You can sync your item images back and forth if you want. I don't have that. Same with, there's other options, extended text, marketing, attributes. If you want to get all of that to be the same between BC and Shopify, you can sync that back and forth, whichever houses the master data. In your case, you can have it push back and forth depending on, so all of these are just, is it synced, right? This determines which way the sync goes back and forth, if that makes sense. Does it sync to Shopify or does it sync from Shopify? SKU mapping, I'm just doing simple item number, but if you have variant codes, you can do a variant code, you can do an item number plus a variant code, vendor item number, or a UPC/barcode, if that's the route you want to go for your SKU mapping. I'm going to track my inventory. So I want to manage my inventory. And then here you have a couple options for your inventory policy. Deny means that I don't want to allow negative inventory, and continue means, and if you hover here, it gives you a breakdown of that as well. Continue with the inventory can go negative, deny, prevent negative inventory. Created products become active in Shopify. And then I can set up different options for if I want to, if a product becomes blocked or something, does it become archived, a draft? What am I using to tell the weight of my product, pounds? And then you can turn on this sync product meta fields to Shopify. We're not going to go into that today because that's a little bit more in-depth session, more on the Shopify side than the BC side, because it's pulling those meta fields back and forth. So next is price synchronization. So if you have specific customer price groups that you want to push out to make so that Shopify can only use, say, your retail price, if you do both retail and wholesale, that it just pulls that. Or if you have, maybe you're doing a discount for Christmas, you want to be able to push a discount group out for a certain time period, you can specify that only Shopify is going to pick up those specific price groups. Price including tax. So you can have Shopify calculate the tax, or you can say the price is included during including tax. I have including, prices don't include tax here. That's pretty untypical in the US. So allowed line discounts, right? General posting group. I'll set this to domestic so that it posts things there. And if I had a tax business posting group set up, I could define that as well. And right now I have my prices set to sync, meaning that my prices are going to go back and forth. It's going to update. If I change the price in BC, when my products sync, it's going to update the price in Shopify real time. You can turn that off if you want to just make it so that it syncs only once in a while. That just depends on your preference for how you want your setup to be. Customer synchronization. We have a couple options here. You can do none, which means nothing would come in for the customer when there's no synchronization, or with order, or you can do all customers, which means all customers from Shopify would be brought into BC. So I'm just doing with order, meaning I only want to have the customer created in BC when an order comes in from my Shopify site. If you have a couple options here as well. The customer can set up by email or phone as the primary key or by bill to information, or you can have a default customer. So you could have a customer that just represents your Shopify site, and then all of your customers go to that one default account so that you can see totals by one customer. Like, hey, what are my total sales to Shopify? Well, it's all under one account. All the orders come in under one account, but it just updates the shipping information and the customer name information on the order when it gets created in BC. I have a template here that I'm using. This is actually a default template provided from Shopify. It's just Shopify customer template. Obviously, if you have your own customer templates, they would be available here as well, and you could choose those so that it'll create the unknown customer when it comes through. I have that Shopify can update customers in BC in case a customer changes their address or anything like that. So you can only have one or the other. Either Shopify can update customers or BC can update Shopify customers, right? So I have it right now that Shopify can update customers in BC in case a customer changes their address or anything like that. This is just the name and how it pulls through. So where's it looking? In Shopify, if you have a company name on your customer account, that's what's going to get put in the name field in BC, name to, first and last name, so forth. So you can set these, kind of play around with them and see what you like, but this is the standard setting that it comes with, code for state, right, rather than the name of the state spelled out. B2B, if you have B2B, you can do a little bit different setups for how those orders come through. Do you need to create an additional company? If not, that just depends on your needs. But for today's, we're going to skip over the B2B and just focus on just general customer synchronization. But the B2B is there if you are doing like a larger companies. It's same setups. It's just whether or not you want it to update from Shopify, or you want to use take a default company that you always use. Same options as customer synchronization. In order synchronization, we have the ability to auto sync orders, which will create a job that just runs in the background. You can schedule it to run however often you want, and it'll sync your orders both to and from, meaning like if you've shipped an order, it'll update Shopify that order's been shipped. If you have a new order on Shopify, it'll bring that order into BC. So it works both ways when you turn that sync on. There's no just push to or pull from. This is a sync that is running real time between both, however often you set it to run. Here we can define, and if we had the job created, you'd see here, if I turn this on, I'd fill in my username with the job queue and everything in the background. Shipping charges, you just define your GL account that you want your shipping charges to go to that you're using. Same if you are using gift cards, you can define an account for gift cards to post to. I'm not using gift cards or tips, or I don't have a rounding account either. Here, I want to have my Shopify order number pushed to the sales order document line. I'm going to have my sales order. When my Shopify order syncs to BC, it's going to auto create the sales order. And then the auto release, I can also have that sales order automatically released, but I don't want that right now. I want to check that sales order before it gets released in BC. I just want it to create that sales order for me. And then I have some other options. I could have shipping information, confirmation sent back and forth. I have that turned off right now because I have some in our demo environment, some emails that sends the confirmation already. And then there's some other options here, create fulfilled orders as invoices. Really depends on what level of automation you want Shopify to do based off what you turn on here, how much you want it to do for you. I recommend always less is more to begin with, have less toggles on and then toggle on more automation as you know that it's flowing through into your system correctly. And then refunds is the last part. You can process refunds. You can define your location, just like this is my location that I'm going to use. This is where it's going to come back to. If I have an account that needs to be, if I wanted to hit a certain account, I could put it to, cost of goods sold for non-restock items. Like what's my refund account that I can define all that based off. the setups that I need for processing return orders through the system. So really straightforward, takes a few minutes as long as you know the answers to these questions. You go through, fill all these out. The next step, a really important step, is you'll run this get Shopify locations and it'll populate these locations. And then if you have multiple locations, you'll want to define the location that your shop, you want it to point to for inventory. So you can see here, this is going to look specifically, this is my primary location in Shopify. This is my default product location where I want it to go every time for every order that comes through. I have two options here, or three, I guess. You could have no stock calculation, but I can have projected available balance or free inventory. So I'm going with free inventory, meaning it's not reserved, it's available for sale. So I have that set up. I do have these other locations that exist here. These are created with my store's a dev site. So these come through as part of the Shopify dev site. That there's a couple options here, but this shop location is my primary, is where I'm fulfilling my stuff from. This is not the fulfillment service. That's demo data. So now that I have my location set up, I can sync my products to Shopify. So I come in Shopify products, and it's as simple as any item I want to add from BC to Shopify, I can pick in here, click down, pick an item, click OK. It's going to run. That item's been added here. That item will now be available if I go products. So we just added the Athens mobile pedestal. And if I come here to my thing, you can see that it just got added right here, but it has no stock yet because we haven't sent stock for that item. So now if I want to update my stock for my items, I can do synchronization and I can run it here manually. You can also create a job that'll sync this for you so that your inventory can sync every so often. But if we watch down here, we can see that it hasn't counted any inventory. If I sync, I don't know that I have any inventory of this item. I might not have any. I don't have any in my location. But if I did, you would see it would sync real time and send my inventory over when I sync the items through. But you can see I have this Athens desk. I have 12 of those. And it is real time. Anytime I hit this inventory sync, it's going to update that it ran, update synced right here on the moment. And I have 12 of these. I can see them by variant, 7 of the gray, 3 of the white, and 12 of the black. So that's how you can sync your products really quick. If you want to push the prices from BC, prices to Shopify, push this and it'll update all your pricing. From if you've done any changes and you want to just push prices, you have the ability to manually push that. Otherwise, when your product sync happens, when you have it turned on and it's running in the background, it will sync all of that each time it syncs. So it'll be real time. But you can also, like, if you know you're going in and you're doing price changes on January 1st, and you want, as soon as you finish those, you want to push your prices out, you can click prices to Shopify and it'll run the job right here and push the prices out to that. There's a lot of additional options in here for you to map products. I don't have anything mapped in this environment, but you do have the ability to map different things back and forth for how it syncs, set up your meta fields. If you want to have tags for certain items that can be used for filtering, you can control all that here and push it out to Shopify to help manage your Shopify site. But that's the real basic version of how to do products. And then from there, there's a lot of options here. You can see I can go in, I can see my customers. Here I am, I'm a customer. You could have additional customers in your shop. You can sync your customers back and forth if you just want to update all your Shopify customers to BC. They'll pull through with their info from Shopify to BC. Same way, there's some other options in here, like if we were doing the B2B in companies, I have those, bulk operations, if I need to set up staff members. Right now, we're just going to focus on just bringing in basic orders. So to bring in orders, like we discussed earlier, I could create a job that does it, or I can do it manually. with sync orders from Shopify. So I'll create an order really quick in Shopify. So we add our product, customer. I can do notes here if I want to have a note. This note will pull through to BC. If you have shipping or delivery, you can set up different options, if you already have options set up, this can pull through. So I can do, say, UPS and $10. I have tax set up, so it's going to look and calculate my tax. Says it's going to Florida, so it's added tax, our item. I could collect a credit card payment here, but I'm just going to process this as if it's paid. So now I create my order. Order exists in Shopify. So I come back here, I run sync orders from Shopify. I can filter down to a specific order number if I want, or I can let it run wide open for all orders. A really key part to keep in mind here is whatever store you have selected. So this code up here that represents your store, that's the only, if you have multiple stores or shops that you're going to sync to BC, you'll want to pay attention that, maybe you're doing testing and you have a test site, you want to only sync your test site. So whatever is defined up here is the only site that's going to get synced when I run this job. So I run my job. Take just a second here. Let me refresh the page. My order comes in. Pulled in the data. It says it's unfulfilled. It created our sales order in the background. We can see our lines. I got my one piece. It pulled in the variant code gray. One default to the base connector is it does not pull from Shopify any shipping agent. So like if you do have set up like, hey, this should go FedEx and ground, that is one thing the base BC Shopify connector does not include is the ability to pull through the shipping agent code and the service code from Shopify to BC. So that comes through as blank, but you can see my gift note came here in the work description. It says Merry Christmas. I have my order here. It says I'm fulfilled. It says it was paid. So now I can go here to get to my sales order. I can see the Merry Christmas came through in the work description. Item is here. I have my Shopify order number, my item, the location, my shipping line got added in, UPS came through. So now I'm going to edit this order, and if tracking the default Business Central tracking field that gets sent back and forth is this package tracking number, and it can only handle one number at a time. So if you have multiple packages for one shipment, it's only going to send one number back through the base connector setup. So I type in a generic tracking number here, and I want to post this, and I can ship or invoice, and I will ship and invoice this order now. And then, so now I can see here, my Shopify order still says that it hasn't been fulfilled, nothing's been updated, because I need to run another job to sync back to Shopify. So let me go to Shopify Shops, demo, and when I go to orders, I have this option here to sync shipments to Shopify, which can be set up as another automatic job that runs in the background. But when I sync my shipments, I can either run it for all open shipments. I can select a specific shipment. So I'll select the shipment that we just did. I'm going to sync it back. And you'll now see if I go into this Shopify order, it still says unfulfilled right now, because even though I have not synced the order back, so I do have a completed fulfillment where it shows here that I successfully, at what time, it pulled the tracking number. If you have your system set up for FedEx or UPS, it would know that here, and you can have that tracking URL fill in so it can be tracked right from within BC. But to truly update this order so that it shows that it's filled, I'll sync my orders back to Shopify and refresh our page. And we'll see now that this order has been fulfilled. And so now I can see that this order, it updates it automatically, fulfilled, done. And if I go into my Shopify site and I go back to my orders, I can see now that my shop 1002 order has been fulfilled. It's got the tracking number here that came over from BC. It updated pricing, items, everything back and forth. If I go to my products inventory, I can see that my Athens desk went down from previously it was at 6. So if we'll go to products, and you can see here on the products that it shows account for each of the individual products. Like it'll show you the inventory for each one you have in stock right here. You can see what's available, all locations. You can see the history of it if you need to. So I can see view adjustment history right here where it'll show me, I started with 7, then I ordered 1, and now I'm down to 6. And that's just based off when it was in Shopify that it'll update. And then whenever your inventory job from BC updates, like say you sold 2 more through a different channel through EDI or through just somebody entered a direct sales order, like a phone order, then your inventory sync would update and Shopify would be real time. Otherwise, if you just sync your inventory once or twice a day, Shopify will keep track of it as the orders are processed, whether or not if you run the inventory sync. If the order gets processed, it will remove it from inventory as well. So that's the base connectors, primary flow, pretty simple. Most of these setups can be done in a few hours and you can be up in testing, seeing how your products flow back and forth, what different data you want to push back and forth. You can search for Shopify. If you get Shopify payments, you can come in here and you can see all your payments and everything in BC for how the Shopify orders get processed. You can once the orders are archived, you can also view Shopify archived orders, just like archived sales orders in BC. But these orders will continue to show in this list under Shopify orders just as fulfilled for now. If an order came through and had an error, it would have showed has error and an error message. Let me create one more order here. I'll show you. So we got Shopify order 3 came through, created our sales order. If for some reason I go to this sales order and there's something wrong with it, I don't like it, I can delete this sales order, which will unattach it here. And I have the ability, actions, functions, to unlink. Yes, and now I could create a new sales document. If there'd been some problem with the existing document, I could create a new sales document. I can also unlink it without deleting that other sales order, which will just leave this up. You can see now that it's got nothing linked to it. So I can click create sales document, yes. And it'll create a new sales document, and now it'll be linked to this sales document for processing. So that's really useful when if you're testing and you're making any sort of changes right on here and you want to see it without having to populate the whole new sales orders. You can delete it and recreate it and see how the data flows from your Shopify order to your Business Central sales order. and back and forth. I can cancel an order, send it back. So it works really smooth that way. So that is it for our demo today. So if, we'll open it up if anybody has any questions or concerns.
Kevin, thanks for the wonderful demo, and let's see if we have any questions from our audience. It seems like there is no question. So,
Looks
I
like
mean,
somebody might be typing a question.
okay.
Maybe
Yeah, I
not.
don't see. Yeah. Um, so I have two questions because earlier I was talking to one of the customer and it seems like they are using Business Central. So does Shopify manage like a multiple website when customer has like, more than one site?
Yeah. Yep. You have, so each individual site, hold on one second. So when we create our Shopify shop, each
Mm-hmm.
shop is unique to its own site. That's why they each have their own URL. So you can have, I guess, as if you have 3 or 4 different sites, you can set them each up as their own shop. And they can have
Right.
their own specific workflows for each shop. Like if one needs to sync like customers back and forth, but one doesn't, one wants to write from Shopify to BC, another one wants to go from BC to Shopify. Yeah, that can all be set up individually by each store or shop as it's called in BC.
Oh, okay, perfect. And I think we have one more question. How do we create a credit memo / refund?
Oh, so you process you want to process your credit in BC, or do you want, or are they processing the credit in Shopify? So if the credit is processed in Shopify, it would come in from Shopify to BC just as an order down to BC.
Yeah, it is from, so I got the answer. It says from Shopify.
Yep. Yeah. So typically the customer's going, because the customer is going to initiate the refund process, they're going to go back into your Shopify site and put in that, they're looking for a refund right here, right? Or you could do it for them, I guess, if you're on the phone, but it's going to all start in Shopify and then flow back to BC.
Okay, perfect. And there was another questions like the jobs. Can that be automated? Like, certain time it runs without
Yeah.
any manual intervention?
Yeah. So in job queue, you can, and when you run it manually, you'll see that it creates a bunch, but if I click new report, I can search here for Shopify. Sorry, it takes it a minute, a lot of objects to search through. So now I can see all these different reports that run. So if I want to do customers or stock or orders or add item to Shopify, sync images, whatever the job is I'm looking for. So let's just say orders, right? That's a
Hmm.
really common one that everyone's um, apparently I'm missing sync orders though. We'll do sync stock because sync stock's right here. So sync stock to Shopify, I click OK. And now I have this job. It's going to run. I can schedule it to run automatically. Maybe I want it to run every day, right? So I'm going to say it's reoccurring, runs every day of the week, and every 25 minutes. So now I have that every 25 minutes, this job is going to run in the background and it's going to sync my stock to Shopify from BC. Another option you have, since this is a report, is let's say I only want to sync a specific shop. I can come in here and I could define, a filter to only sync to inventory. And then if I had, let's say I have a different requirement, nav demo, I want to sync this often, but I wanted to create another job that runs report. Got to spell correctly. Shopify stock, I could set it. And then this one, I could just say, hey, I want it to run once a day, right? One day I can say what time I want. I want to run at midnight every day, and I only want it to run for the other. So then that shop's only going to get its inventory synced once a day at midnight every day.
So
So I have the
would you recommend to like, keep it every day, or that specifically based on the business requirement? How would you
I would
recommend
say
that?
it's based on the 100% based off each business's requirement. My general philosophy would be more often is better, because then it's a more, especially if you have lots of other streams of how orders come in. If you have EDI orders and you have people taking phone orders or email orders, any other ways that orders come into your system, and you push your inventory, once a day, and you say, hey, I have 20 of these to start the day, and you only sell 2 on Shopify, so it looks like you have 18, but you sold another, I don't know, 15 through your other sources of sales channels, then your inventory on Shopify is still going to say 18, even though you're down to only having 3 in stock until it gets that sync from BC. So I think the more, I don't think it needs to run every couple of minutes, but
Hmm.
every 10 minutes. It really depends on the volume and the business case, with how often you want to sync your stock.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, all right, yeah, thanks for joining us today. And if you have any further questions, or would you like to discuss your specific requirement, feel free to email us, or you can call us. And you can also follow us on a social media where we have tons of Business Central videos available. And you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining.